Hello everyone and welcome on De Papier et de Rêve channel. I'm Ursula and today I will paint with you some fall berries. I think that fall is my favorite season of the year. Such beautiful colors and the nature is so inspirational. It's always a pleasure to paint it. I start my first wash with lots of splash of color and splash of water in order to have those drips and those spontaneous marks on my paper, which will be more interesting. The first color I use is Quinacridone Gold. It's the perfect color for fall because it's yellow, which tends a little bit towards the gold and orangey red shades. Depending on the concentration of pigment I use, I can obtain a very soft yellow and a very strong gold orangey shade. To this yellow, I will add some reds. I will use three shades of reds, one more rosy shade, more neutral shade, and one more orangey shade. And all of these colors will add some richness to my existing color on my paper. In order to build some contrasts in this painting, I will add some violet, which is the opposite color of yellow in the color wheel. And to build this violet, I will use some ultramarine blue with my existing red so that I keep unity in my paintings and in my colors I use for this painting. This painting is my second attempt of interpreting my reference picture. You can see both of them and my reference picture on my blog. Check the link in the description box if you want to see it. So in this second attempt, I've chosen to not follow exactly the color of my picture. I wanted it to be more in the fall colors and more in the expression of fall than my previous painting. This time again, my reference image is very complicated with a lot of information on it, lot of berries, lot of leaves, and I have to find some ways to simplify all of this. And while I'm simplifying this image, I also have to show the abundance of berries and leaves and this richness of nature. I start this simplification by negative painting. I paint around my berries in order to push the background back, further back, and brings all the berries in the foreground. And I'm blurring the lines under the berries in some parts so that everything is blending a little bit more naturally. The color I'm using for this is a mix between ultramarine blue and permanent alizarine crimson, and I'm adding also a little bit of burnt sienna in order to get some more naturally looking color. So I'm using lots of fall color with yellow, orange, reds, gold, but I will also add some green leaves because it's just the beginning of fall, and so there is a lot of green in the nature right now. When I'm painting leaves, I try to get the perfect movement of my brush to make the leaf in just one swoop of my brush, but after that I will brush a little bit of just water in order to blur some lines and make it look more natural. And I will do the same for the berries. I'm putting a touch of color one next to each other, and I will blur some part of them in order to get this natural effect I'm looking for. So now I have natural shapes, but I want also natural colors. So each time I pick some color in my palette, I will change it a little bit with some Quinacridone gold or some red or different red, cold red or warmer red, in order really to get all those shades, different shades, and a more natural berries. The berries in my image are quite complicated. There are a lot of them and they are overlapping each other. So in order to show this on my painting, I will play with transparency and apply different layers of colors, one on top of each other, to get this abundance of berries. I'm using here the same techniques that I've used in the marina painting I've done a few weeks ago. I'm just putting colors next to each other and blend them a little bit and playing with transparency to get that effect of multiple berries. With this effect, I can also build my color step by step and adding some richness to them and diversity. In some parts, I'm making the red bleeds into the violet in order to get a little bit more fluidity and unity in my painting. And I keep adding layers and layers over the berries, over the leaves, over the background in order to build my image, to build the depth and the volume of all the elements. For the composition, I haven't made any change. I've kept the composition the same than on my reference image because I found it very good. I've just add some darker color behind the berries to make them pop a little bit more, and I've tried to keep the end of the branch on the left very light in order to keep the interest at this point. I've kept some part of my painting quite blurry, like the top left corner. You can see some berries, but they are very, very blurry. And on the bottom right corner, there is also some berries, a little less blurry than on the top, but blurry nonetheless. And this element, very blurry, are here to focus the sight of the spectator on the center branches, which is my focal point. I think that this kind of watercolor is quite nice for beginner, because you don't have to know how to draw, you just have to express yourself on the paper, and depending on your personality, it will be more abstract or more realistic. Maybe the hardest part in this style of watercolor is to start, because starting with a blank paper could be a little bit impressive, but try it anyway, because you have nothing to lose, and even if it's not very good at first, you can always flip the paper and start again. Once you have the first layer down, it's just a matter of observation and play with what's already on the paper. Of course, the more you paint, the more easier it will be to use what sits on your paper and to paint with those elements. There is no secret here. To paint, and to paint, it's the only way to improve. Last year, I've painted almost the same scenery, and I can see that I have improved a lot in a year. So if I can do it, you can do it. And now let's talk about supplies. I've used an Aquario Escoda number 18 and a Raphaël Petit Gris 803 number 2. For the color, I've used Ultramarine blue, Viridian, Quinacridone gold, Winsor Red, Permanent Alizarine Crimson, Scarlet Lake, and Burnt Sienna. And for the paper, I've used the Canson Héritage rough. And now I'm adding the final touches to my painting, like darkening certain area to make a little bit more contrast. And I'm adding also a tiny part of black at the end of the berries. I'm also adding speckle of light in some areas with white gouache. I'm very pleased with this painting. First, because of the color. I like very much the color of my berries. This kind of red, orangey coral are very nice, together with violet that is a little bit toned down. The contrast between the two is very nice and very gentle and soft. And I like also that there is a contrast between sharp objects, like the berries in the foreground, and very soft objects like the berries in the background. It had a lot of depth in my painting, and I do like that a lot. It was very fun to paint this painting because at first, on the first steps, I can be very spontaneous and play with colors and shapes and everything. And then I can be a bit more calm and just make little details step by step and taking my time. And this video is now ending. Thanks for watching till the end. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to check the blog post if you want more information about it. And please leave me a comment and tell me what you think about this one. See you soon.